I could have saved an extra $100 on my upcoming cruise, and hardly anyone talks about this trick. My travel agent emailed me and told me about a possible $10 savings. But if I would have switched to a non-refundable room, as well as an inside guaranteed cabin, I would have saved $100. No one ever checks this trick. I'm going to save you this money-saving hack, as well as a bunch of others that could save you hundreds of dollars, or at the least, some free onboard credit. I never thought about this hack until my travel agent emailed me shortly before final payment date. And our friends were able to take advantage of this and were able to book the exact same cruise as us with the exact same sailings on their first ever cruise and paid $100 less than what we did. So my travel agent said, hey Brian, I could save you an extra $10 on your cruise fare if we switch to a non-refundable fare right before final cruise date. And I'm like, for 10 bucks, it's not worth it for me, right? Because she's gonna have to do extra work and the savings isn't enough to justify, in my opinion. However, if we would have switched to a guaranteed room, we would have saved $100. And our friends are gonna be joining us on their first ever cruise. And they decided to sign up shortly right before, basically at final payment date, and get in quotes. So they got a quote for, they're going on the cheap just like we are. They got a quote for a non-refundable room, an inside cabin, a guaranteed inside cabin, and then the balcony just in case they want to splurge because it was their first cruise. Well, their quote was $100 less for a guaranteed inside cabin than just a inside cabin. Now, there's pros and cons to this. First, if you have an inside cabin, you get to choose the room that you want, which is why Mrs. Tips and I didn't take advantage of this, because we had a great room location on Independence of the Seas, and we like around deck 7. It's not too far to the top, it's not too far to the bottom. So great room location we liked. But our friends, their first cruise ever, they picked the guaranteed cabin. And the good thing about this is it's $100 less. The con though might be, well, besides you not picking it, you're not gonna be close to one another, which is fine, but you might get a room that is undesirable. And he emailed what are the differences, and I'll let him know for the travel agent basically that, hey, the differences are you don't get to pick your room. So you might have, like, let's say a connecting room interior door. And if that's the case, you can hear everything if there's someone in the next cabin. Or maybe you're right below the pool deck and you might hear chairs moving around or something along those lines. So or right below a dance club or something. So you just might not have a quote unquote perfect location. But if you're like me and you wear noise canceling earplugs every single night, it might not be as big of an issue. The second tip is to book a guaranteed cabin right from the get-go. And so just kind of covered that. However, if you got a sail date further out and you're booking refundable fare, maybe you just want to book a guaranteed cabin because you just want basically the get-in price, the lowest fare possible. Now, remember, you can also do guaranteed ocean view, guaranteed balcony rooms, etc. But be careful on this one, because if you do a guaranteed balcony on, let's say, an Oasis class ship or an Icon class ship with Royal Caribbean, that balcony might be an interior balcony, like that looks over Central Park or looks over the boardwalk. So if you're gonna do a guaranteed balcony, make sure you want an ocean view balcony, make sure you do a guaranteed ocean view balcony. Because if you're expecting to see the ocean on your balcony and you got a view of Central Park or boardwalk, you're probably gonna be a little disappointed. And if you're getting any value out of this, be sure to like and subscribe. The third tip in this is repricing right before final payment date. Now, this never really dawned on me completely the way that my travel agent suggested to me. So yeah, I've always thought about repricing before final payment date, but I'm thinking about repricing a refundable cruise fare. Well, after you get past final payment date, which is typically 90 days for, let's say, a 7-night cruise with Royal Caribbean, you're gonna have the same penalties if you cancel within that time period anyways, as refundable or non-refundable. So it might make very good sense if your savings is enough to make it worthwhile for your travel agent or for you to take the time to call Royal Caribbean if you booked your own cruise, to call them up and switch to a non-refundable rate as opposed to a refundable rate and still have the exact same room. I mean, if you could save another $100, it's worth it. So this is definitely one trick and one hack that I will be looking to take advantage in the future. Now, of course, sailor prices are just going up and up and up. And the odds of this happening on a summer cruise or, when school is out of session or over the holidays is less likely to happen than if you're cruising during, let's say, shoulder season or when a typical school is in session, which is typically when we like to cruise. The next thing to look out for is asking for discounts for residents, seniors, military, first responders. Sometimes these discounts actually happen after a cruise ship launches their sailings. Your travel agent, if you work with a travel agent, can retroactively apply these discounts. So if you're a first responder, military, resident of Florida or certain states, you might be able to get a little bit better price as well. Unfortunately, my household currently doesn't qualify for those extra discounts. This next little trick is mainly if you're going to be booking your cruises on your own and not for your travel agent. If you are booking your cruises on your own, and let's say you call up the cruise line and they won't modify your sailing to the lower price and you're before final payment date, you could simply cancel that cruise and rebook it. Now, of course, you gotta be careful. When you're looking on the website, you're booking online, those are always typically just non-refundable rates. They're not the refundable rates. So you might be out some deposit or transferring it if you were to cancel it and you had a non-refundable rate. However, the savings still might be worth it. That's just one of the reasons why I prefer to use a travel agent, is because I don't have to do a lot of work. Yeah, I'll look at the prices and I kind of help them out if I come across something cheaper, but most of the time, or at least half the time, my travel agent is coming to me with extra discounts and extra ways to save money that never even dawned on me. Like what happened just this past week. Onboard credit from price drops is another way to save some money. If you're past final payment date, you typically can't get a refund. However, you can sometimes get onboard credit. So between now and our November cruise, that's within 90 days, I could, if the price dropped, ask for maybe some onboard credit if the price were to drop, or another trick which I've used in the past is maybe upgrade to an ocean view or balcony room for maybe another $50 or even the same price. So if the price drops and I'm in an interior room and there's a higher category for the same room or for the same price, I then could upgrade to that room inside final payment date for no cost or very minimal cost. So even though you're within final payment date, it might be worthwhile to keep an eye on some of those prices. The seventh tip is going to be travel agent only perks. Travel agents don't just advertise the extra perks that they offer. For instance, of course, they could have some lower fares, not always, because they have access to group bookings. But outside of that, they also have some other discretion or some other specials with cruise lines. For instance, they might have something where you can do prepaid gratuities, free specialty dining, or onboard credit. Personally, our travel agent, they've gotten to know us pretty well since we started using them almost a decade ago. Basically, we used them for every single cruise except for maybe our first 1 or 2 different cruises, just because I didn't know travel agents existed anymore, even 10 years ago. So our travel agent now just gives us onboard credit. They used to send like strawberries, chocolate covered strawberries to our room and things like that, but now they just offer us some free onboard credit. And it's not like we're booking real expensive cruises. We're booking kind of like the bare minimum get-in price, inside interior cabin, sometimes guaranteed, and we're not even picking our room. So, but we are consistent cruisers and we always go back to her. And of course, she does a wonderful job with her travel agency. So we refer our friends to her as well. So right at final payment date, she just adds some extra onboard credit and we never even ask about it, but I make sure I thank her because sometimes it might come out of her own commissions when she does this. The next tip is just to be aware of casino offers as well as shareholder benefits if you happen to be a shareholder of your cruise line. So if you gamble in the casino at all, which is one of the great revenue sources for the cruise lines, make sure you check your email because they can have some crazy good offers. One of the cruises that we're on, our friend, they actually get casino offers, so she pays just the port fees and taxes. For shareholder benefits, If you typically own 100 shares of a cruise line, they're going to give you discounts for anywhere from maybe $50 to $250 of onboard credit, which is basically free money. Of course, make sure you're buying the stock of the cruise line because it's a good investment and not just to get some free onboard credit. And the next tip is if you're cruising with a family, be sure to price out different cabins. For instance, it's not always cheaper to have a family of 4 to be all in one room. Sometimes it can actually be cheaper to get 2 rooms than 1 room. That's the way my family likes to travel most of the time if it is going to be about the same price. Is we'll get 2 inside connecting rooms and the kids will have their room, we have ours, the door just stays propped open. The other nice thing about this is you get 2 bathrooms. And if you're traveling with a family of greater than 4, like 5, it is that much more important to be looking for 2 rooms. There's not a lot of rooms on the different cruise ships that hold 5 or more guests. And going to a suite is not a good, cheap way to put 5 people or even 4 people into a cruise. It can be cheaper if you just do 2 inside connecting cabins, or maybe 2 cabins that are across the hall from each other, etc. if your kids are a little bit older. So which of these saving hacks surprised you the most? And have you ever had a big saving hack? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to know how to have a free day at Perfect Day Coco Cay and not spending any extra money, make sure you watch this video right here. I'm Brian, Tips for Cruisers, and we'll see you over in this video right here.